Talk, shop, pop, movies.
Well, hey there, this is Derek, the Convicted Cinephile, and if you're a convicted cinephile yourself, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel down below. On my channel, I like to talk, shop, and pop open, that is, movies and physical media. Today is part 2 of an Oscarology video I did earlier today. So, yeah, they're both today. So, if you haven't watched the other one, go back, check that one out. I am doing consecutive Oscar wins from the same person. So, the first video was all above-the-line categories, including writing, directing, acting, and Best Picture. And this one is going to be all the below-the-line categories, which is essentially everything else. So the above-the-line stuff was very easy because there was no one who won more than 2 in a row, and there was only 1, 2, or 3 at the most people per category. This one, I think, is going to be a little bit more difficult. So we're going to start with Best Art Direction. We have Thomas Little. He won 4 consecutive Academy Awards for art direction. He won Best Art Direction Black and White for How Green Was My Valley in 1941, and This Above All in 1942, and then The Song of Bernadette in 1943, and then in 1944 he won Best Color Art Direction for the film Wilson. In Best Cinematography, my boy Chivo, I believe is his nickname, Emmanuel Lubezki, who probably should have won an Oscar before he did, but when he did, he managed to win 3 in a row for 2013's Gravity, 2014's Birdman, and then 2015's The Revenant. And you saw in my last video, 2 of those 3 were the same director who won back-to-back. And now we have Best Costume Design, and we are talking about the GOAT, Edith Head. Yes. That's an interesting name. She won a total of 8 Oscars, not all in a row. That would be absurd. But 3 of them were in a row. 1949 for The Heiress, 1950 for All About Eve. That one pops out a lot because it won a butt ton of Oscars and was nominated for 14, I believe. That was a record-tying nomination haul. And then in 1951 for A Place in the Sun. All of those were black and white costume design. And then in 1950, she also won for Samson and Delilah for color costume design. So technically, she won 4 Oscars in 3 years in various costume design categories. I said she was the GOAT for a reason. In Best Film Editing, a personal favorite of mine, we have Angus Wall and Kirk Baxter, who won surprising back-to-back Oscars. The first was in 2010 for The Social Network, which was expected by the time it occurred. And then the next year, 2011, they won for Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which wasn't even nominated for Best Picture or Director, and it should have been for both, in my opinion. Yeah, that movie got the shaft. But that's one of the only times in recent memory where Best Editing went to a non-Best Picture nominated film. Best Original Score. This is a bigger one. We have Roger Edens, who won 3 consecutive Oscars for composing the scores for Easter Parade in 1948, On the Town in 1949, and Annie Get Your Gun in 1950. Alan Menken, who is one of the greatest composer-songwriters of all time. I'm sure he's going to be on here again, and by that I mean he's going to be on here again. He won 2 consecutive awards for composing the Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin scores in 1991 and 92. We have Gustavo Santaolalla. Did I say that right? Close enough. My apologies if I didn't. He won 2 back-to-back Oscars. Obviously, that's the whole video. For the scores for Brokeback Mountain in 2005 and then Babel in 2006. Those are all of the composers for Best Original Score. And I'll just jump into Best Original Song. There are 3 composers who won back-to-back songs. We have Henry Mancini and Johnny Mercer, who shared the awards for Best Music Song, Best Song, for Moon River from Breakfast at Tiffany's in 1961, The Days of Wine and Roses from the film The Days of Wine and Roses in 1962, And then we have, again, Alan Menken, who won twice consecutively. So 2 and 2 for Best Song. Once again, we have Beauty and the Beast for the song Beauty and the Beast in 1991. And then Aladdin for A Whole New World in 1992. Onto the sound mixing categories. There's no sound editing on this list, just sound mixing I saw. Thomas Moulton won 3 consecutive Oscars. We have The Snake Pit in 1948, 12 O'Clock High in 1949, and shocker, All About Eve in 1950. Like I said, that movie was all over the Oscars. Our final category for this video is Best Visual Effects, and it looks like we have 3 different people, or at least groups of people. We have Glenn Robinson, who won 4 consecutive non-competitive visual effects awards, because sometimes back in the day there weren't so many visual effects, so they would just like give an award that got the most votes to the movie with the best visual effects that year. Like they wouldn't have an official nomination list or anything like that. In 1974 he had Earthquake. 1975 he had The Hindenburg, and both King Kong and Logan's Run in 1976. So 4 Oscars in 3 years yet again. Then we have the great Dennis Muren, who's won 8 Academy Awards for visual effects, 3 of which were consecutive. We have E.T. the Extraterrestrial in 1982, Return of the Jedi in 1983, and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom in 1984. Dennis Muren is amazing. And then the final pair of winners here are Jim Riegel and Random William Cook. That took way too many tries to get right. Won 3 consecutive visual effects Oscars for the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. That's just the easiest way to put it. In 2001, 2, and 3, they won for Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King, back to back to back. Those are your consecutive wins for the below-the-line categories. So check out all these Oscarology videos. I'm sure I'll pump out a few more. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday. But yeah. I'll have a 1980s Best Picture nominee tournament stream on February the 16th. That is a Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check out the previous ones I've done. We talk about the movies, we narrow it down, and once we narrow it down, it gets a little quicker and even more intense, because once you get to the nitty-gritty of it, we're basically voting against all of our favorites of an entire decade, and it's surprisingly challenging. So go take a look at those previous ones I've done for the 2000s, the 90s, and all of the Best Picture nominees, all 94 of them in one tournament. And then I did a Screen Actors Guild Award. SAG Ensemble winners won first. That was like my practice one, where there was only 27 movies involved. So it's a little bit shorter of an episode. If you want to get the gist of it, go watch that one. Once again, my name is Derek, the Convicted Cinephile. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Talk, shop, pop, movies.